Copy.
Welcome back to Le Mans. It's that kind of time of night, isn't it? Air density changes, the light starts to disappear. In normal conditions, it'd probably get a whole lot more dangerous with the sun just glaring in the eyes of the drivers. Haven't seen much of it today, unfortunately. Insect life as well has thankfully kept itself to the ponds around which many of the campers actually stay. So as these changes are being rung, we've rung the changes here as well with our guests. We're joined by Greg Murphy from Murphy Prototypes. Could perhaps have had a better run, Greg. You've had this car for a year now. I know you're keen for success. Tell us about your day.
The famous look of the Irish stroke again, unfortunately. Yeah, we've had a tough day so far. Initially had a problem with a sensor on the fuel system. It was telling us we had very low fuel pressure, so we knew it wasn't the case because the car would have stopped. Our partners in Orica thought it would be a good idea to change the ECU, so we did that. And unfortunately, we're now not getting great mileage on the fuel, so we think we're going to have another stop again. So you'll see there we've one more stop pretty much than everyone else. And the good news is we're one of the fastest cars out there now, and as I know now from my last year here, 17 hours is a long time to go.
Oh, you know what? It's a hell of a long time to go. We were mentioning just a little bit earlier that this is what, like 16 Formula One Grand Prix, and it's at the same kind of pace, and it's the same margin for error as well. Tell me about Mark Patterson. He is, of course, the father of the field, 61 years of age. Has he got a painting upstairs or something? Because that man looks in such good nick.
Yeah, I think that's a long life of clean living, I think. Looks like nobody in the booth here has experienced clean living for a while.
Exactly. So, we're all looking
I think
very
that's what happens if you look after yourself and eat the right food and exercise regularly.
Speak for yourself, Murphy.
I was going to say Damien is actually not bad. So.
Oh, there he is.
Greg, first of all, I want to ask, do you have my number?
Not my car, yeah.
Why haven't you called me? We used to communicate.
I can't let you down in public, David.
This is a job application going on before our very ears.
No, well, we have spoken. We spoke about a certain 10 laps, but I think it was too late this year to get the 10 laps.
Yeah, and then I've decided I'm going to do them next year.
You're going to break the promise.
Greg, no. you took an extraordinarily early pit. Was that because your sensor problems were showing up, or was that just because you'd kind of shaken down?
Yeah, no, the sensor problems caused that. So we were a bit worried, and Orica said, look, it's a long race. We'll come in, we'll change the ECU, and at least we'll, probably, hopefully clear the problem. That hasn't been the case, but we're just going to, it's obviously a sensor failure, so we're just going to keep going. But I would say there's a slight issue with the fuel.
Just explain to people, electrical core box, you actually made a change of that, didn't you?
Yeah. So
how long
essentially
the job is
the brain of the car. Yeah. So it's a 3-minute job probably. So that caused the early stop. So it's kind of, better safe than sorry.
Greg, you're telling me 3 minutes, but it's a lot worse than that on the timing screens. What else is going on?
We had to come in and the ECU had worked itself loose, so we had to then fix it in place and tape it up and all of that kind of stuff. And then Mark had a spin, so that lost us 2 laps. So that's been the story of the race so far. But as I say, in a positive note, we're really competitive now. Corona's in the car. He's doing a great job, as you'd expect. He's been brilliant for us. He's such a professional, and that's why we have him in the car instead of Damien.
So come on then, ambition.
There's 17 hours and 24 minutes left
for you to change my mind.
He's going to work on you. Come on, ambition for today and for the future.
I think we still have a chance, certainly maybe at the podium, hopefully, or something like that. But that's what we'll fight for, and we won't stop till it's finished, and that's for sure. And for the future, Murph Prototypes are, in a pretty exciting place. We've got good sponsorship now with Hertz and STP, and have taken these people on as true sponsors. And BMI Regional, our airline partner now. So we did a deal with Snoozebox. So we've lots of that kind of commercial stuff going on, which is, which will enable us to stay around for 10 or 15 years and,
fantastic.
Just keep coming back year after year. Plenty of time for you, yeah.
Craig, if I was speaking to you before the race, you were in jubilant mood, confident mood. You thought you could perhaps win the class.
Yeah.
If you could explain to the viewers at home, how disappointing is it that you had an early problem, and how do you keep the guys focused on the bigger picture, which is at 24 hours? Because I'm sure it's easy with so much preparation, and we probably know all about this for this race. It's the biggest race in the world. It's the biggest challenge in the world. I think you've done phenomenally well to get here with an Irish team, and it's well represented, I think. So how do you sort of manage that? How do you keep the team spirits high?
We're a very competitive bunch, and one of the reasons I put together people who kind of went out on their own this year was because, I wanted to get people who have a similar mind to myself, who like to enjoy their motorsport, but, you can win with a smile on your face. And I wonder if motorsport forgot that. And certainly that's what we want to do. And it's absolutely heartbreaking. I mean, you have an idea of the preparation that goes into it. We all do. I spent the last year of my life essentially since I left here, organising this, and it's heartbreaking. But unfortunately, as you well know, I used to race myself, and I'm well used to motor racing, breaking your heart. So you just get on with it, don't you? And you do your best, and you hope. Yeah, you hope you might get a bit of luck, and as I say, there's 17 and a half hours to go. So,
as we spoke again, speaking before the race, I tried to point out how just a big an achievement it is to have an Irish team here. Do you realise that? We looked up at the grandstand, we saw some Irish flags, because this is a race that you have to be invited to take part, and for you to do that within. I mean, this is your second year. This is your second time here. We've been flat out on the Twitter here. There's so many Irish people following this. Does that sort of register with you, the achievement? Forgetting about where you sit in the race at the moment, but just actually competing here at this level. Does that register with you?
Not really. And I suppose it's a bit like you with your achievements when you drove a car. You don't realise, when you win Indy Lights races or whatever it is, you don't realise how big it is. And no, I certainly don't. But we were walking through the paddock there, and we met a few Irish people, and I was amazed how into it they were, how proud they were. And it's fantastic. But I suppose when you're so close to something, it's hard to. It was nice to see. We had a couple of flags in the stand before the start of the race and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully when we're back here for the 15th time, we'll have more flags than the Danes or something. That'll be good.
And so what are your aspirations for the short-term future next year and the couple of years after that?
I mean, this is a business, Damien. It's about putting partners together. It's been able to get good drivers like yourself. It's about putting the team on a solid footing. And as I say, with STP and with Hertz and with BMI Regional, we're starting to do that. And that's a big challenge for me, and that's a big buzz for me, because that's what I love to do. And the reason I got involved, I suppose, is because I thought that, as I say, I'm not sure how well sponsors have been served in the past by motorsport, and we're trying to change that maybe, and show that we can actually sell your product through the medium of motorsport, and putting these, and it seems to thankfully it seems to be working so far with some of the people we've managed to get, and some other exciting people we're talking to. So that's very rewarding for me, and obviously you just can't control what goes on the track. I think Brennan Harley, Curran Chanduk, the Orica Nissan, and as I say to a lot of people, when the car goes in the track with those drivers and that package, my job is done. So that's motor racing, unfortunately.
The lovely Greg Murphy. We wish him all the very best of luck. Been a pleasure to have him on board. Right now, let's just catch up exactly where we are. In terms of the GTs, job application has been successful, apparently. Damien Faulkner's already putting pen to paper as we speak. He looks like a very happy man. There you go. We are racing at Le Mans. You're live here on Eurosport, going out to potentially 28 million homes around the globe. You're extraordinarily welcome. The lights are flaring, which tells you we're heading for nighttime, and the 3-car has, well, come to a halt. Haven't seen why or how, but we'll get to that as soon as we can. But he's in exactly the wrong place. He's going to go all the way around the track as far as I can gather here, and we're having a look on board right now. No word as yet as Mark Cole comes and rejoins us. Oh, it looks like a puncture. Ollie Jarvis on board, and he's got a dearie me, that's not going to get all the way around, surely. Oh, well, 3 wheels on his wagon. Probably better that he actually spat that right there, because he can kind of counterbalance it, and suddenly all hell breaks loose back at Audi. They've got work to do, and indeed so have we.
He's got 12 kilometres to go.
Goodness me, couldn't have happened at a worse place. There it is, the lining, and he has gone.
Well, that's a lot of weight, actually.
That's a souvenir.
Gone from it, because with centrifugal force, with all of that weight, we saw the 8-star Ferrari, was it, with a lot of damage earlier.
Well, let's track him round, shall we? He, as you can see, he will make it, and in fact he's better without that spare rubber, I've got to say. They're all ready to refettle him, Mark.
It's a very good point, Carlton. It's not all flapping around, taking out rear bodywork, suspension, electrics, all those sort of things. This is where he went off. This, of course, worst place to do it, top of the hill, Dunlop curves, and he's now got a whole lap to do.
You know what, Mark? We've seen an awful lot of punctures so far in this Le Mans, probably a little bit more than normal. I'm just wondering whether, because they're rattling the curves, we haven't had any warnings yet about respecting track limits, or at least I've not seen any. No, and I'm just wondering whether they're just getting pinch punctures, whatever.
Damien, I think, is the man to answer that.
Yeah, well, it's just when you mention track limits, is it the final corner, the final chicane, when you come onto the start-finish straight here? I mean, all 4 wheels are completely inside the white line or over the top of the white line up on the curb. But it's the same for everybody. That seems to be their line, and they seem to permit that.
Do you know what? I'd love to know what speed he's doing right now on 3 wheels. We'll find out. Well, maybe. We're going to take ourselves a commercial break. He's not hanging around, that's for sure. We'll keep tabs on it. Not too much damage, because he shed the problem very, very quickly. We'll be back in a few moments' time here on Europe. Welcome back. The 1 car gets jacked. We wait for the 3 car. It's a busy old time here at Audi. As you can see, they have However, something of a cushion over the Toyotas, but this is in the garage.
Push back. I thought they'd stopped early. We're only not quite 7 hours into the race, and this is their 10th stop for the #1 car, last year's winning car. What is the problem? Off comes the rear bodywork. As we've explained many times now, you put it in the garage because you can throw all your staff at it. If you're in the pit lane, it's only 2.
Well, I'll tell you what, the big old single unit rear end changes are a thing of the past. Rules were changed to stop that development. Well, we'll see how they go right now. Toyota looking on, trying not to look smoke, so they've covered their mouths.
That's right, they look terribly upset, aren't they? Yes. So Luc Duval is leading at the moment, the #2 Audi. Ollie Jarvis is limping around the circuit with a rear, he shredded most of the tyre. He'll be being taught around the circuit by his engineer, Howden Haynes, and just Howden, we're watching on the same pictures we're seeing when we see Ollie. Here we are on board with him. Obviously what they can't see is the back of the car, but Ollie has been told quite categorically, get it home and do not wreck the suspension.
Absolutely. Lights still flaring here and go. Oh, you know what? They are really clattering the curbs here. You know, it doesn't upset me. I just fear for them, frankly, and I think it does magnify itself in terms of these punctures that we're picking up. Could well be debris, as the amount of carbon fibre that's out there. You can't sweep everything up, and the wind's died, so it hasn't even blown away.
Right, so Wirtz is now back on the same lap as the #1 car, Trillia. Next time round, he will have passed him for second place.
Yeah, and Martin just showed me some news there that the #1 Audi at the last stopped somewhere after the last stop. So obviously they're encountering some problem for some time.
Here comes the 3 car.
Right, in comes Ollie Jarvis.
Just looking out of our commentary position just to see him sail by, and it's hardly sailing, I tell you. He is crabbing in at the moment, and yeah, it's a nice clean piece of metal on metal at the back. I'd love to get a view of that alloy when it comes off. We'll have a look at that in just a few moments' time.
And of course, the big point at the moment, we've only got one Audi on track that's in race-worthy condition.
Wow.
Wirtz has actually just gone into second place, so these screens are caught up with themselves, and it's Wirtz and Sarazan second and third now. How's Audi going to claw this back?
Well, it starts now, Damien.
Yeah, well, I think this is a simple enough one. This is just probably a full service. Yeah, we're seeing a driver change as well. So he'll be suited and booted, and on his way pretty soon.
Let's have a look at this rear right. That's what we want to see, how much damage there is there.
I don't think they've done any damage, to be honest, there. He was very lucky that, like we were saying, that most of the tyre delaminated and very cleanly and came off, so there wasn't as much weight there to come off with the centrifugal force.
I'm still waiting to see the bodywork off this wheel, for goodness sake. Round the other side, my friend. That's where the business end is going to be.
But we've seen with the Audis year after year, haven't we, that you can drive them on 3 wheels. Even that year that JJ Leto and Alan McNish had the huge going off together over at Porsche curves, they're able to drive the cars back even with wheels missing.
There it is. Well, nothing much to report. As we said when it happened, quite lucky that they got clear of the punctured rubber. Rebooted and away. Just listen to that sound, or lack of it. Amazing.
Full marks to Ollie Jarvis. He's passed his baptism of rubber punctures, and he's made it. He's got the car back. It's in one piece, and he's out again.
Tell you what, Besh and the Lola are going to start thinking about this. Still some way behind, of course, but we'll see how long those problems take to rectify, Damien.
Yeah, absolutely. But as we see, Oliver Jarvis there just giving it a little wiggle to make sure everything's tight, because his last lap was a little shaky on 3 wheels.
Mark Genet's taking the car over, in fact. We didn't notice that on the other side. Yeah,
of course. Yeah,
no, it's okay. I didn't spot that. So Mark Genet, winner for Peugeot here in 2009, so he's got a big Le Mans history too. What a good man to take on board, the Flying Spaniard.
Well, goodness only knows what vehicles these are, save for the colours of the lights, and suddenly announcing itself, it is the 2 car of in the hands of Luc Duval that we're with at the moment, on board with him right now. You know what, you're going to get some bad luck. It's how you ride it. I mean, within 24 hours, something has to happen, and it's just how you cope. Audi, probably the best marshalled team on the planet. And yeah, if anyone's going to overcome their adversity, it's they.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's trying to limit the adversity, isn't it? To stay out of the pits. And they do a good job of mastering that.
And as we mentioned at the start of the show today, this number 2 car now leads the World Championship. They came here 1 point behind the number 1 car, but they got 2 points for pole, and they are now leading by 1 point. And of course, Carlton, they won the last race at Silverstone.
Exactly. The double points here spins out so that they are now indeed the leaders, and we've got a driver change here in the 7 car as well.
Alex Vert's out. Who's getting in? Did you spot it, Damien?
I didn't, but I was just thinking that the last round of pit stops.
Nakajima, I think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. The last round of pit stops.
Nick Lapierre started. That's right. So
Jeremy had tweeted that he watched one of the Toyota pit stops and it took off on hybrid power. So there was absolutely no sound at all. So it was like a Toyota Prius.
It is quite weird watching them come in as well in silence. I think that's the biggest thing. Always expecting a roar and just a whoosh.
Oh, there's an awful lot of tools being used at the back.
There are, and we've got some what look like long-nosed pincers there as well. That's cable cutting going on. Not nice. They may well just be holding fluids.
And Audi number 2 is leading. Number 3 just came in the pits to replace the tire, and number 1 is in the garage. It's like they have some various repairs to do.
There you go. Nothing like encouragement by reporting the problems of others.
Stefan, don't fall off the road laughing.
Yeah, exactly. Just keep it focused and try your best to get around the traffic.
And Stefan Sarazan twice finishing second here at Le Mans with Peugeot in 2007 and 2009. He's in the sister car which Marc Genet took to victory, and Stefan would just love to win this race. He's not far from here. Barjac, 38 years old. And it's all going wrong for Audi at the moment. That car's still there now. What are they doing here? They're going to get underneath it now. They're raising it up onto stands, Damien, and this isn't good, is it?
No, this is hands into awkward places, isn't it, Damien?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm just looking at the same pictures here, but they're putting it on the tall stands. So goodness knows what that.
Do you know what? We've had a lot of problems with pneumatics here because of a lot of pickups. We've had punctured hoses, and as a result, some of the air hoses for the jacks aren't actually working. I'm just wondering whether that's the issue right now. They're not alone if that's the case.
I don't know. I doubt it. I'd say it's something else. I'm not sure if they have do they have to fix that, or is there do they have a plan B if that happens?
Well, it just makes every single stop that they have very, very tardy, and if your jacks aren't working properly, then you know it makes all of your stops extraordinarily slow. We are guessing at the moment. We wait for some news from down in the pits and indeed the garage where Audi have rolled in. Nakajima is on his outlap right now, having taken over from Vert. Sarazin running in second place with Loic Duval and the 2 car out front.
And just remember Nakajima, a bit of a cloud over him from last year after one of the restarts. He punted the Delta wing off the circuit.
Yes, huge apologies were issued almost immediately.
Hang on, not immediately. It took until the following morning. And there was a meeting between Toyota and Delta in the Toyota garage, and there was
lots of bowing.
Much bowing. Yes, oh dear.
Yes, lots of knees were kissed, their own. That's so low with the bows. Yes, very contrite were they. Well, they're back and intent on victory themselves. You wouldn't have thought that if you'd seen qualifying, but then the warm-up announced Toyota. And, of course, if you managed to ride your ill fortune, well, I think we've got our answer, don't we?
Goodness.
Good, that's what we're talking about, not respecting track limits. And
that's the second Greaves Motorsport car, of course. That's the one Jan Mardenborough, Lucas Ordonez and Mikael Krum on board. It's not what you want to be doing. Where is that car at the moment, by the way? That was Jan on board, and that he is running 15th overall and 7th in P2. So that's not a PlayStation game today, Jan. Just keep that car off the curbs.
There we are. Out front, Duval, Sarazan, Nakajima. Yes, you've heard that right. Audi, Toyota, Toyota. A two-car challenge for Toyota. They have had electrical issues. They've had other worries as well. But right now, they're in a happy place. Even happier, I suspect, if Loic Duval was having any kind of issues. We wouldn't wish that upon them at all. But you know what we've got? We have a race. And this deep into it, well, isn't that a great thing to be able to report? 17 hours and 5 minutes remain.
Yeah, we've got a swap around there, haven't we? At the top, Bruno Senna now in the Aston Martin ahead of Richard Leitz. Peter Dumbreck's dropped back to third. I didn't see when that happened. Maybe they took a bit of extra servicing in the number 97 car, which Dumbreck was leading the class in.
I think it was a stop down, to be honest. I think he's come in.
Because they're all on 6 stops. That's what I'm looking at. But Bruno Senna, rookie here at Le Mans, and what a great outing he's having, leading GT Pro.
We just got some information to speculate that it was a crankshaft sensor failure on the number 1 Audi. So whether that is true or not, which remains to be seen.
Which suggests why they're needing to get right underneath the car and get it up on the stands.
There's the alternator that the guy has in his hand.
So having to take bits out to get to it. Yep. And Audi Central looking down from their hospitality box above. Again, look at that, Jan Mardenborough, the PlayStation Academy guy. It's only his first ever Le Mans, and I bet that hurt. There's very little, isn't there, between you and the ground in these cars.
Ouch, he'll be embarrassed by that.
Yeah, and that was, did you see the lip on the front of that curb? That was really, that was a sort of a violent impact there.
I'm still waiting for a please respect track limits notice to come up, but there you go. On board with the 92 Porsche Mark.
Yep.
This is chasing. This is Leitz versus Senna.
Yeah, and of course it's a big weekend for Olaf Manti and his team. They made the official Porsche GT people this year, and they've had a very steep learning curve there, but they have a lot of Porsche people embedded here in the team. And Liz Halliday now coming back to join us. Jeremy Shaw will be coming to replace me in a few minutes, but Liz hot from the pit lane, and I don't know how hot from the pit lane Liz is. What's it like out there, Liz?
How hot is it, Liz?
Not very. I'm freezing, actually. I'm thinking of putting another layer on. It's actually quite cold here in Le Mans.
Well,
very windy, might I add. It's blowing a howler, actually.
Thank you for the continuing high-class interview. It's been really informative. And we've had Mike Gascoigne in here while we've been out talking about Caterham. We've had Matt Michelin in here. That has been really interesting. Michelin.
Oh, sorry, I missed all of that.
Yeah, but they'll be back. They'll be back.
So, yeah, it's all just gone to bits. The minute I walked off pit lane, everybody went in the garage.
And now the number 12 Rebs in.
No, this is not what we wanted to happen at all.
Going so well.
Here's Yanni. They have been going terrifically well, but they are also paying a visit to the garage. We're going to start racking up here with garage information, hopefully fairly sharpish. I've got to tell you as well, it's there's a lot of alto singing brass monkeys out there. It is very cold. The temperatures, incidentally, does have an impact on the performance of the vehicles.
In a good way, in fact. When I spoke to Marc Genet, which most of you probably heard, he was saying that the cars are going the fastest they've been so far. A lot of that will be down to how much cooler it is at the moment. And certainly now that the sun's going down, we haven't had a lot of sun, but they're hoping to even do 5 stints on these tires, which is really unheard of for most of the time. So I think that's down to the cool temperatures as well. Also, going back to what you said about Jan Mardenborough being given respecting track limit sign, I don't think he would get that there, because generally you would get one of those if you repeatedly went over the track limits and were gaining an advantage. But in his case, he just looked to me like he just kind of made a bad decision and had a bit of an off, so I wouldn't expect them to be quite too hard on him then at this stage, unless he leaps it 3 more times.
Yeah, well, it's now 10 o'clock in the evening, and all we've heard for the last 5 days is that Carlton Liz were going to go to the Earth, Wind and Fire concert tonight, so that's a lot of hot air because they're sitting here in the cabin.
Yeah, well, work has held us into the cabin, but we're going to be grooving up and down here in a minute if we can hear it.
We had Greg Murphy on a few minutes ago. He's gone off to hear the Commitments playing on the other side of the track, so
wow.
I
think we should just leave Mark to it. Shall we just go, Carlton, and Mark can just do it by himself?
I'm on a roll now.
I'm just going to start. I was thinking almost of tucking my wrist into my my significantly large belt down by my sides and doing a bit of Irish dancing, but I resisted. Now, just to remind you, we will be switching to Eurosport 2 in just a few moments' time. And for the rest of you, you will enjoy Le Mans 24 minutes, a roundup of what's happened so far. I'm sure we'll be seeing the Dishy Doc, Dempsey, the 3Ds as well for you within that programme. But right now, we're going to take ourselves a brief break, and we'll be back on Eurosport 2. So you can always stay with the action. You just have to have your remote control with you.
And when you come back, I will have morphed into Jeremy Shaw.
Oh.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Avec un écart de 2013 brutalement.
Oh, sorry, Liz. Welcome back. You are live at Le Mans here on Eurosport. Just routing through the LMP2 classification, we have Martin, who is leading on board the Orica ahead of the Morgan of Baguette, and Dolan on the Zytek. We have Bruno Senna as well, heading up the GT Challenge for the GT Pros. It's Aston, Porsche, Aston Martin as we speak. The GT AMS, it's Roda, Young and Narach, and it's the Porsche, Ferrari, Porsche story all over again, with the Corvette still trying to play catch-up. But the big news, Liz Halliday, is at the top of LMP1. Unbelievable.
Yeah, no, just literally all all at once, it all went horribly wrong for Audi. Sort of at the minute that I walked out of pit lane, it seemed to all fall apart. One car had a blowout in a right rear tyre on the way into the Dunlop chicane. Complete disaster, and about the worst place that you could possibly be. And also, I'm hearing from Martin Haven there was contact, which I didn't see on the TV. I thought, okay, maybe that's why he had the blowout initially then. But the worst spot on the circuit that you could possibly have a problem. He's then got a limp back around the circuit. At the same time, the number 1 Audi came into the pits, was pushed into the garage with a crank sensor problem. I understand they've been having to pull the engine up out of the car in order to get to that, because with a crank sensor problem, you're going to have all sorts of issues: traction control, gear shifts, everything.
Yeah, nightmare scenario. Well, it's how you ride your luck, and right now Audi are having a whole hatful of bad fortune as we speak, Jeremy Shaw.
Yeah, Oliver Jarvis apparently said that he had some contact with another car, but his spin, we saw the replays of the spin. I saw replays of the spin in the garage, and it was up at Dunlop Curve, as you said, I think, Liz, and I didn't see any contact up there, but maybe the contact was before that. And if that was the case, certainly we saw, from the replays we saw as the car turned into the corner, that the right rear snapped around on him. So it would indicate there was some sort of a problem that caused that spin. But my surprise is, if he'd had contact before that, would they not have seen on the telemetry that the tyre was perhaps losing pressure? That would be the normality. In fact, that's what happened just a little while ago to one of the, which car was it? It was the Thierry car that had that same problem. They had a tyre going down. John Martin had a problem with a tyre going down a little while ago as well, and both times they were to catch it on the telemetry and bring them into the pit. So a bit unlucky if it didn't show up on the telemetry.
Well, I actually think he probably had an actual blowout. That's what it looked to me, which would mean they wouldn't have seen it in time. Perhaps maybe from some contact there was something rubbing on the tyre. That's entirely possible, but from the way the car snapped, it looked to approach the corner like normal. The braking zone looked all right on the initial braking points, and then the car suddenly snapped around on him, which looks like a blowout. I'm thrilled it happened there, not in the middle of Indianapolis.
like here this time, Fox this time.
Boxy slap, Seb, boxy slap, Stefan, boxy slap. Number 2 is in the pits just now.
Welcome back to Eurosport live at the Le Mans 24 Hours. We apologise if you had some silence there for a little while. We had a couple little technical issues, or quite a while in fact. We just thought maybe you'd like to not hear us for a bit. But
could have
actually,
been a blessing.
Yeah, well, there you go. So if you were one of those many people that was loving the fact that we'd all shut up, then sorry, because we're back. Little technical problems.
Deal with it, good people.
Audi number 2 just left the pit.
Well, the continuing reports back to the those on board the active Toyotas. It's Sarah Zhao who's receiving the messages as to what's happening with the Audis. Tell you that Tom Christensen at the moment in the 2 car is leading. They came in and pitted while we were away. However, as you can see, it's a busy old time of it back at Audi, and the number 1 is not going anywhere. It hasn't been for some time.
No, and we understand they've pulled the gearbox out now. I've heard things about crank sensor and alternator problems. I was listening to an interview that was going on with Dindo Capello, who all of you will probably know has raced with the number 2 car for a very long time, but he said he couldn't believe that it had been in the pits for so long, and he can't remember the last time that it would need such a long pit stop for Audi.
Just coming in then, the 8 car back on board with the 1 right now.
Yeah, so this has been a long stop by the number 1 team. We've been told, as you were saying, Liz, that they're replacing the alternator on that car and or the crank sensor, and that has cost them in a region of 10 laps, and that's about a complete full fuel stint on these cars. We just saw the number 2 car on pit lane, Tom Christensen, taking over from Loic Duval, who did a great job in that last stint. He also set the fastest lap of the race on lap 86, so 22 laps ago. It was Loic Duval who set that time, and it was a 3 minutes 23.269, which is almost a second faster than the fastest lap that Loic Duval set last year. So tremendous pace they are running.
Well, speaking with the Audi guys, they were saying that the conditions are very good now. They're probably the best track conditions we've had the entire weekend. After all of the mixed conditions they've been dealing with, they've said that the tires are feeling very good now. It's nice and cool outside. Earlier in the week when it was raining, it was quite hot and humid, but now it's cool, it's dry. These are optimal conditions, the ones that we probably wanted during qualifying, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I think it would have been a lot more interested in many ways in qualifying if you'd had these sort of conditions. And as a result of those pit stops, the number 8 car of Stefan Sarazar, the Toyota, leading Toyota, was briefly back on the lead lap, but that now has come onto pit lane for his own scheduled service. So that will mean that he will resume again 1 lap down. And before this round of pit stops, the number 8 and the number 7 Toyotas running now in 2nd and 3rd positions as a result of the fact that the number 3 car of Oliver Jarvis had a puncture and an extended a slow lap around. That is now a farther lap behind. And the number 1 car is just about getting ready to rejoin, we think.
Certainly a very different picture than what we had even an hour ago, though, Jeremy. I mean, we were looking at Audi wiping the board 1, 2, 3, feeling very confident, having had no problems whatsoever throughout this race so far, to suddenly complete disaster. A long, long pit stop, one of the longest Audi has had that they can remember, mixed with a very, very long slog around the lap for Oliver Jarvis, with that worst timing of a puncture in the Dunlop chicane. So it's all unraveling a little bit here as we come into the night.
Yeah, it was extraordinary. Around about 9:35, there was just a raft of problems. Those two you talked about with the 2 Audis within seconds of each other, absolutely, because I was a couple of pits down just snooping around in the pit area, and I saw on the monitors that the number 3 car had a problem. I then saw an Audi come into the pit lane. I presumed it was a number 3. It wasn't. It was the number 1 for that extended stop. There was also a problem for car number 74, the Corvette. That also made an unscheduled pit stop. They had a problem with the engine, and they stopped and they downloaded some data into the engine to try and reset the computer on board. And as described to me by Gary Pratt, that they were basically trying to fool the electronics on the car that no, there's no problem here, boys. You guys, you 8 cylinders are bouncing up and down. There's no problems here. You get back to work and carry on again. The car was sent out and seems now to be running quite well.
Well, this is one of the problems that we find with these high-tech race cars. They're all run off an ECU system, an engine management system, and sometimes you get glitches. It is electronics. I've had it happen to me as well. That sometimes what will happen is the engine goes into sort of a limp mode, a bring the car home safe mode, when it doesn't need to be doing that. It happens more often than you'd think. I find it's very annoying when it happens. There's nothing you can do, and you're stuck trying to limp the car back to the pit. Sometimes just by shutting the engine off and restarting it, that can reset it. But in this case, like you said, they did a good job to get that going again for Corvette.
There was also a problem for number 46 car, the Thierry by TDS car, driven, I think, by Ludovic Bade. He had a puncture, and he had to stop maybe a third of the way into a stint, well, halfway into a stint, actually, I believe it was. So that set them back a little bit. They were running, I think, as high as 3rd place in the class. So in P2 now, it's number 35 Oak Racing Morgan Nissan that leads. Bertrand Baguette at the wheel of that car, number 35. John Martin is just making a pit stop. He has been leading that class for Delta ADR, the number 26 Orica Nissan. They've got themselves back on schedule with everybody else. They lost some time early on with a puncture, but during that last full course caution a little while ago, they were able to get back onto sequence. They closed up to within about 15 or 16 seconds of the leader in P2. The full course caution allowed them to make up that deficit. John Martin then took the lead and pulled away, and is now making what one hopes is a scheduled pit stop for car number 26. Third place in P2 is Simon Dolan now at the wheel of the Jota Sport car number 38, the Zytek Nissan.
On board with Jan Mardenborough, I believe, who clouted the curb and got airborne not very long ago. We're just heading into night time right now, and yes, as you can see, the sun has, well, finally disappeared, although we didn't see much of it all day. Mardenborough running 5th in his class at the moment. We're going to get a replay of that, or is it another incident? Goodness me, well, still not overly settled, I've got to say. Nakajima it is.
Yeah, just overshooting the braking there into the Dunlop curves and running a little bit wide there. No harm, no foul, it would appear, for Kazuki Nakajima.
Liz, at this time of night, when it's heavy rain reported, oh my goodness, and you can see the windscreen wipers are working already. I was just about to say, just as the light disappears, you've got to reboot your brain.
Anyway, yeah, we were listening to a team radio there telling the team that there was heavy rain reported in one of the corners, and it's, yeah,
Dunlop curves,
which I think is exactly why we just saw Nakajima flying over the top, and there it is. Earth, Wind and Fire.
Actually, I don't think it's them. Maybe they're coming on a bit later. If that was Earth, Wind and Fire, there'd be a full brass section.
Yeah, they were due on at 10 o'clock, I think, weren't they?
They're meant to be on at 10.
Boogie Wonderland, it's running a bit late.
This is my music happening right here in front of us. I'm quite happy, thank you very much.
Well, Liz and I were slightly regretful that we're not actually over there in one of our favourite bands. There we go.
Not now, anyhow.
Liz, I was just saying, at night, you've got to kind of reboot your brain as a driver. It's a difficult time to actually come in and start your stint almost immediately, straight out of the bright lights, if you like, as we look at Dallas Frasca. There we are. You come out of the bright lights of your own garage and head out there into the darkness. You better be ready.
Well, this is actually one of my favourite stints at Le Mans normally, not with the heavy rain and random corners and slick tyres, of course, but the early night stint is one of my absolute favourites, because once you get dialed into the night at Le Mans, it is fantastic. You can sort of see lots of different things. You sense the Ferris wheel and everything going on, and the car is just really sweet and fast usually.
Do you get less distracted, almost like tunnelling?
A little bit, yeah, and you do just sort of settle in. You've already done a stint or two in the car, so you're in a bit of a groove, you know, everything's a bit automatic, your shift points, where you're going in the car, and you do, like I say, you just settle in the night driving, and you're still fresh. It's what I've always found was really difficult was like the 4 a.m. stint, when you've not really had much sleep, you're getting back into the car when it's cold, and your brain is not quite as fresh with the racing as it was earlier. And that's a stint that I find really tricky, that and into the morning.
Here's a perfect example of what we're looking at, a kind of tunnel straight down the road. Your reactions have to be all the sharper, but then again, your brain kind of sharpens up as well. It's a bit like driving on the motorway at night, unlit, save for your headlights. There's no distractions. You're not looking over at cattle willowing in the field, if that's what cattle do. But you get the drift. It is high speed, but focused. Meanwhile, Earth, Wind and Fire are about to come on. That is a beautiful shot.
Oh, look at that. Le Mans at night, like I've said, absolutely beautiful. One thing that is a little bit tricky for the night driving, which a lot of the drivers have been commenting on, and I've noticed myself, is there are portions of the circuit where there are some lights near the gantries, but as you drive past them, you see the lights in your mirror and you believe it's an LMP car because it is a white light. And so you're suddenly, I used to do it lap after lap, and I'd shout at myself thinking, come on, it was the same thing last time. But you're so dialed into focusing on the lights coming up behind you that it can be a little bit distracting. You find yourself sort of panicking that you've missed something in your mirrors, and I think that's part of the night driving, is you're very tuned into which lights are approaching. Is it an Audi or a Toyota or something coming very fast?
And you can see some of the floodlights there down through the S's, which of course never used to be there. That was always particularly dark. There's the Audi running. Only Audi's running wide there.
No, I think that's just the wet again, isn't it? If we've got some rain around, these are going to be really treacherous conditions right now, especially in a prototype car.
Is that the H3M status car ahead of him? I think it might be.
Yeah, well, there we are. We are going to... We're going to take our leave in just a couple of minutes' time, so we're kind of just jumping about. So if you are internationally listening to us in the Asia Pacific or wherever, we're about to switch back to Eurosport International. So I hope you've got that remote in your hand. Otherwise, you're going to have to get up and go and change it manually in just a few moments' time. Boogie, we certainly are up here. We are heading into the last 16 hours, 35 minutes. Yes, you heard that right.
Is that all?
Oh, unbelievable, unbelievable. And we're in the cosy position of being in a commentary booth, for goodness sake.
Yeah, well, speak for yourself. In about half an hour, I've got to go freeze again in pit lane.
Liz
where all the
Halliday,
action is.
it is, that's been doing such great work up and down. Sterling, I think you might say. This has been a difficult one to net, I've got to say, Jeremy. Still not over. He's trying to get his way by.
That was a replay. It was indeed the HVM status car there that the race leader was trying to get around. It looked like he was alongside him, but the status car wasn't going to give up that position. Number 30 car, who's at the wheel of it? Johnny Molan was at the wheel of that. I think he obviously doesn't want to be driving an Audi in the near future.
Clearly so. Johnny Molan was with us last year, of course. Liz?
Well, I just had a chat with Johnny Molan in pit lane, actually, and was just asking him how he was getting on. He's doing well, he is. He said it was a little bit tricky in the stint before. He said near the end of his stint that the rear end of the car was just getting away from him a little bit around the high-speed corners, which is really not friendly at Le Mans. I asked him if maybe it was a tyre pressure issue, and he felt it was more of a setup problem because he thought the tyres were good.
Now,
get them on before pushing the car out on the skates.
yeah, get your balaclavas on before you push the car out onto the garage. We saw that car come out of the garage, about 5 minutes ago. Clearly, the problem had not been fully rectified, so the car has been pushed back again into that garage, and they're still working on it there in the Audi Sport pit.
Well, we'll take our leave and we will cross back over to Eurosport International, who've been busy with Le Mans 24 minutes. Back in a moment. As the number 1 Audi comes off its jacks and starts to play.
Well, let's see what's going to happen here. I'm hoping that they've managed to rectify the problem, but they have been in pit lane for a very long time indeed.
24th they are on the timing boards.
Ooh, I don't remember the last time I saw Audi that far back, even when they've had an accident or a problem.
51 minutes, I reckon, that pit stop for the number 1 car. It came in at, I reckon, about 9:35. It's now 10:26 or 10:27 p.m. here. There is Lena giving the instructions. Boy, she's a star with this team. She does just a fantastic job.
Isn't it?
She keeps everybody so calm and cool and collected, as of course is she.
She's
amazing.
Very, very professional, isn't she? You never see her in a flap. And I know a lot of people that would be, but Lena just seems to keep it all in control. Very good to, compliment the team on what they're doing. She keeps everybody sort of switched on and on the same team, really. I know they are, but there's being on a team and there's being on a team, and I think she does a brilliant job with that.
Yeah, absolutely no nonsense. Credits where it's due, and yes, phenomenal at marshalling what is a well-marshaled team. Let's not forget. Almost hard to kind of step up to that level, but she's done an amazing job for the last couple of years, of course. The 3 car is in for a clean-up job. There are insect life. There is insect life around. Found a couple of mozzies in my car earlier on. Don't know how they broke in, but anyway, obviously got keys. Christensen then in the 2 car is out there. Sarazan Nakajima. Yeah, you heard that right. And Marc Genet, who we're looking at right now in the pits, coming out of P4.
I think that's a scheduled stop for that car. Just fuel only for the number 3 Audi. The Audis were, as we talked about there, they were very much in control after the first caution period, but it all went wrong about an hour ago. But for this car too, they had that unscheduled stop for a puncture. Since then, Marc Genet trying to chip away at that deficit to the Toyotas in front of him. The gap before the pit stop was around about a bit less than a minute from the second of the Toyotas to the car number 3.
Just getting an idea of how great these lights are in the Audi. Very, very bright. I know last year they had some different lights on the car for the first time. Some people were complaining about it, but myself and other drivers were thinking, well, gosh, that'd be great. I mean, I know certainly when I was racing, I would have loved to have had Audi have different lights, because there's LMP cars coming and there's Audi and Toyota. And frankly, if you're being overtaken, you would like to know if it's the fastest cars on the circuit coming.
Part of the complaint, Liz, was that they were so bright and like a ball, you actually weren't sure the position of that approaching vehicle behind you, because it was just like the world lit up behind you.
Yeah.
And you didn't know which
I
part of
suppose
the
all
course
you
to go.
can do is just keep your line, because that's your job as being the overtaking car, and keep your line and be prepared to be passed at extreme speed.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It was the sort of the distance perception, if you like, looking in your mirrors. That was, as you're absolutely right. So tricky. Kind of a 25 spun and